right here on Facebook. We are live every day between now and next Tuesday, but you also have the opportunity to join in on some watch parties. We've been doing that at 6:30 p.m. That way we can get our global friends in the loop. And then obviously they are posted out there on our Shift to Riches private group that you're a member of if you're part of this program. And you can go into the unit section and find all the content there. So I'm excited about today's conversation, which is vision to victory or victorious achievement. I actually formally call it, just shortened it up for just happenstance. But I want to just welcome you back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for committing to you. And thank you for really taking the time out of your busy schedules to kind of focus on yourself and focus on what it is that you want in your life. So if you're all psyched up for today, then comment with us. Use hashtags hell yeah or hashtags rich goals, hashtag accelerate. And let me know that you're out there. I was actually covering up the chat room with my notes, just noticed that. But be sure to check in and let us know that you're out there. Again, I'm Bernadette Bose. I'm known as a ball of fire coach, consultant, and igniter, transforming lives around the globe, seeking the riches that they deserve in life. My promise to you is that you will create riches in your career, business, or life by simply committing to you, doing the work, showing up, and putting your best foot forward, putting your truth forward, putting your dreams forward, and igniting and creating those riches that you so deserve. Now, I got a question already through an email. I typically, if you know me, I also have a podcast, Shedding the Bitch, and we broadcast at noon Eastern time every Tuesday. So someone reached out to me late last night and said, hey, what's going to go on with your radio show, being that you're also doing this series? I'll have to figure that out in the long run. But for right now, we are having a Shedding the Bitch radio podcast episode of Lessons from a Bitch. And I somewhat gave you a sneak peek into it last night. But we did pre-record it. So that is broadcasting right now on Shedding the Bitch Radio. And Deborah is out there. She'll be manning that. Should you need anything and if you're listening. But I would hope that you're here and participating here because that is also will be recorded and broadcasted out on wherever you stream your podcasts and radio episodes, as well as this is too. And you actually have an opportunity to come back at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time for your live watch party. All right. So if you are ready to create riches, I want you to comment, hell yeah, let's go. But let's do some recap of day one, our sessions yesterday, just briefly. So we had 2 live sessions. The noon Eastern time one was all about the challenges of setting goals. And we asked you to really think about what it is that you struggle with when it comes to either setting your goals or whether, hell yeah, Roy, thanks. Whether you're struggling to set your goals or you've set them, but you're kind of like not moving and not pursuing them, and you need kind of somewhat of a kick in the butt, or maybe you just have the goals, they're in your head, they're all jumbled around with the 1,500 other thoughts that you have every minute, and you just can't quite get your arms around them. Well, that's what this is all about. So we talked about that, and we asked you to post your homework, and thank you very much for those that did. You're in the running for some gifts, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Last night's bonus session, live at 8 p.m. Eastern time, got into the 5 steps to shift to riches. Now, this was a framework and a formula that came out of my own experience, my shedding journey, as I call it, that went on about 9 or 10 years ago. And I got a lot of questions, not only from my friends and my family, but also from peers, even past peers from my previous corporate career, and my clients saying, well, wait a minute, you've been through all this. You've gone through some sort of journey that's transformed you. So, how do we get a hold of that? And I thought, you know what, you're absolutely right. So I started really thinking through the journey that I had been through, the steps that I walked through. And there was 5 significant steps. And that's what we talked about last night, as well as we talked about B and R's. Now, you're going to have to go back and watch that episode, that session, in order to understand what those are. But your B's and R's are also very foundational, just like we talked about yesterday with your challenges, and we talked through with the 5 steps to shift to riches. You have to get a handle on your B's and R's. Until you do that, we're walking closer and closer to creating your goals tomorrow. But all of this is really kind of leading you to really be able to create some massive goals. Not that they have to be huge to where you get overwhelmed, but massive in the fact that you're so excited and energized and focused and clear and persistent and determined to go and act on them. All right. As I mentioned, we had some watch party, 6:30 p.m. We're going to do that every night, Eastern time. That allows our global audience to jump in and watch the noon session played again live on that watch party. And you all can come in and chatter and collaborate and ask questions and all that kind of good stuff. And that brings me to the fact that I am getting questions, not only here in the chat when we're going live, not only on our Shift to Riches private Facebook group, but I'm also getting them emailed to me. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be scraping and stripping them all week long in case we don't get to them during these sessions. And on Saturday at noon Eastern time, it's going to be totally dedicated to your questions about all the things that we're talking about, the process of setting your vision to victorious achievement plan, the process of setting goals, and so forth and so on. All right. I also made sure that we put out some 2-minute recaps of each of the sessions, just so you can get an idea of what we talked about. And maybe one is more important to you right now than the other, and you don't have to spend the time watching it. So listen to those and watch those 2-minute recaps. It'll give you a really quick snippet as to what we've talked about. And I'll continue putting those out as well after each of the sessions each day. All right. I know I'm missing something. Oh, homework. So you had challenges to do yesterday afternoon. You had your B's and R's last night, posting them because you can, for participation, for being here live, for doing your homework, and really putting the time and the commitment into what it is that you want and what you want to achieve. I can be a mouthpiece and sit here and give you all the wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise that I have. However, unless you decide to do something with it, I can't control your end results. And yet I really want to. I really want you to be able to, take action, get movement going, get energy and confidence behind what it is that you want, so you can start creating the riches that you deserve. So I had mentioned that we're going to be giving some gifts away, and we will be doing that as we get closer into the weekend. I'm also going to award, picking out from the top active participating homework doer participants. I am going to award someone a 3-month one-on-one coaching engagement. And we'll talk about that in more detail as to what exactly that'll encompass, but you shouldn't be concerned. It's going to be 3 months of focus on you with my expertise, my strategies, my tips, my techniques, all the things that I've provided in corporate and now entrepreneurially, and a combination of both. And I can promise you that you will see significant results and shifts in your life if that's what you want. All right. Let's see what else. Tonight's bonus session, 8 p.m. Eastern time, live right here. We're going to be talking about the 4 A's of change. So going back to what we really grounded ourselves in yesterday is the fact that in order for you to achieve anything, it takes hard work. It takes you willing to be open and honest and raw. It takes you the willingness to change. And yet change can really kind of sabotage the best of us at times. So I want to walk you through 4 elements of change that you can very easily and logically, because everything that I try to do is about logic, getting it out of your head, getting it out of all of that anxiety and stress, and putting it out on a piece of paper very simply, very logically, so then you can move on it. So we're going to go deep into that this evening. But we're also going to pepper in today's conversation. I'm going to give you a little preview to what those are. But at the same time, tonight's session, you definitely want to sit in because we'll definitely be, digging deep into it. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? I just want to get all the logistics out of the way. You also want to be part of our live session tomorrow at noon when we start creating your goals. And the reason why is you're going to have homework, and it's going to be to create your goals following the session. And then I'm going to select hopefully 3 that we can fit into our Thursday session. I'm going to select 3 of the goal sheets that you're going to submit, and I am going to provide you coaching live right here on our Thursday session. Now, we have a couple things to discuss on Thursday, but our main focus will be for you to actually experience coaching if you haven't, but also I want to start seeing some of you, if not all of you, kind of moving your goals forward. So be sure to be here live. You can also be at the watch party at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow evening of the same session, because I definitely don't want to leave our global audience out. And 6:30 is is a good time frame for our Australia, New Zealand, and some of those in the East. So be sure to be here noon tomorrow live at the watch party 6:30. Do the homework, and then I'll be selecting several of them to bring right here onto the program on Thursday. Now, we're not going to have an opportunity to bring you into the conversation. What I'm just going to simply do, because I was asked this question, I'm going to review your goals, review the way you've laid it out based on what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and I'm going to give you some coaching as to how you can really enrich them and deepen them in order for them to be very actionable, very measurable goals that you can start pursuing. All right? Okay, let's see. If any of you in the chat room want to just say, hey, hell yeah, or accelerate, or rich goals, would love for you to do that. All right. Now, we have already discussed that the number 1 key to your success, and this is the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last 10 years, I'll say, is the fact that your mindset is far more critical, far more important for you to put focus on than your skill set. Now, I'm not saying not to get training and not to get the education that will amp up your skills and get you that job that you want, get you that work that you're seeking, getting the results that you want. But unless you have a mindset, and we'll talk about the 3 reasons why, but unless you have that mindset, you're never really going to be able to optimize or exploit your skill set. And trust me when I say the combination of those 2, it's powerful. It's going to separate you from everyone, and it's going to allow you to go after whatever it is that you're seeking. All right? Now, in order to have that mindset and that skill set work for you, it also takes self-awareness. And that's what everything we're talking about, leading up to tomorrow's goal setting is all about. It's making sure that you're very aware, very in tune. And if you're not fully in tune, because trust me, it took a long time for me to tune up my awareness on who I am and who I want to be, and a number of the other things we've already talked about. It takes time, but if you can be good to yourself, if you can be honest with yourself, if you can be committed to yourself and your dreams and your goals and your growth, then being self-aware will get you towards what it is that you're wanting to achieve. So, but let me give you the 3 reasons why mindset trumps. Maybe not that word, but mindset overrules your skill set. And that would be because without a strong, confident, empowered belief system in yourself, you're unable to move forward. That's why you may be stuck. You may be frustrated. You may be doubting yourself. You may be depressed. You may be miserable in the career that you have, the business that you have, the life that you have. Without awareness of your emotions, your feelings, the internal dialogue that you have with yourself, you're unable or you're challenged to navigate the highs and the lows, the obstacles and the opportunities that will certainly come in your path as you go out and you do what is needed in order to achieve what it is that you want. So you need that strong, confident, empowered belief system. You want to be aware of your emotions and your feelings. And at the same time, when you're consumed with doubts and fears and insecurities, then you're certainly not open and not able to get creative and unable to be really clear and determined around what it is that you want to be defining as your path, your goals to the riches in life that you deserve. So we need to make sure that we're working on that mindset, making sure it's empowered, making sure it's confident, making sure that it's open and creative and energized and determined, because all of that will feed into not only what your goals are going to be, but also it's going to fuel the momentum and the motivation that you have going forward. All right. Now, when just kind of summarizing that, when your mind is weak, your actions are weak. Think about it. If you've ever had a bad day, and we all have them, and I don't care how empowered and confident and strong one is, sometimes we just get up and, we get up on the wrong side of the bed. We go out weaker than we maybe even want to be, but are, or that we are deserving to be. And therefore, our actions, our behaviors, our words are all weaker, are all on a weaker frequency. And now the whole frequency when it comes to personal growth and development and transformation is something that I am really just getting my arms around, but it comes down to this. Whatever you put out in the world is what you're getting back. So if you're up here in frequency, but up here in, happiness and joy and confidence and focus and clarity and momentum and motivation and inspiration, then you go out into the world, oh my gosh, it's going to come flooding back to the point of being, pleasantly overwhelmed. If you do the same, but yet you're tired and agitated and bitchy and negative and having, a pity party for yourself, well, guess what? The world's going to respond in the same way. All right. So we want to take those weak pieces and we want to completely amp them up, get them empowered, get them confident, get them strong, get them clear, get them focused. All right. And then that way that'll lead to you being totally open and creative when it comes to your goals. Now, you certainly have a choice to go either way. And I'm thinking that if you're part of this in any way, shape, or form, this particular series that you're devoting your time to, then you want to be the one that's amped up and motivated, inspired, and energized to move forward. So your decision is, no, I'm committing to myself, and I'm going to put in the time, put in the work, put in the focus, put in the awareness, put in the sacrifices and the compromises that we're going to talk about in order to achieve what I want. and I'm going to applaud you every step of the way. But you can also choose to be comfortable and not do anything. And we talked about that yesterday. And many people do. When it comes to challenges for setting goals, people are comfortable where they are. And I am not here to judge that. And if you were even working with me, and trust me when I say, some of my clients have said, well, Bernadette, I'm kind of good. I'm kind of good where I'm at. I'm like, really? I have to challenge it. That's my job. But, so it's going to be a little bit more work when it comes to that. But if you're comfortable, that's also your decision. So you have a choice, and it's your decision. And neither one of them's wrong. It's just you have to be able to accept that and be okay with that. But I will challenge you that if you do choose to be comfortable, if you do choose to be where you are right now, and recognizing that you're even missing some things that you want, then don't put it out on the world. Don't blame the world. Don't make excuses for it. Own it. Just as you would own that you are doing the work, you are committed, you are creating your future. You just need to own it. All right? Now, the biggest thing that we talked about yesterday that really is kind of the weight that's pulling people down is fear, is overall fear. We talked about a number of things that challenge people, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it's fear. So I wanted to touch on that based on some feedback I got yesterday and questions that I got yesterday, excuse me, around it. Let me get a little drink of water here. Hi, you guys. Hi, Patricia. Fear. When I heard this acronym for it, I don't take credit for it, but when I learned of this acronym for fear about 3 or 4 years ago, it changed my perspective on everything. And it really helped to ground me in kind of going inward when I do get scared. Because trust me, I get scared. I get negative. I get doubtful. Yet all of these tools that I'm providing you are exactly what I use to kind of get myself grounded. So the acronym is, and I'm going to take one more sip. I seem to have something caught in my throat other than a frog, which is what someone I babysat when I was about 15. She was like 8. She's like, Bernadette, do you have a frog in your throat? It's very raspy. No, but I feel like I do right now. Okay. Excuse me. So fear, false evidence appearing real. I really want you to think about that. And if anybody in the chat room wants to, scribble that into the comment section. False evidence appearing real. Now, why did I find this so profound? Think about it. False evidence appearing real. So when all of a sudden you're getting hung up on maybe not being able to pay the bills or not getting that job or, having to move or, taking or dealing with a stressful relationship or going through a scary health situation, we all experience fear, right? But when you really think about where you've been, if you've been on this earth beyond a day, thank you, Patricia. So if you've been on this earth for more than a day, you've overcome something. You triumphed over something, because we all have, those things that just, take us to our knees or just cause us to totally shut down or, in some cases lash out. That would be me. We have fears that cause us to feel all those negative B's, as I call them. But if you really think about, okay, so when was the last time I was fearful about something? And I wanted you to think about something in the past, not something you might be dealing with right now. But, let's think about the last thing I was fearful about and that I've worked my way through. Well, you worked your way through, didn't you? You overcame it. You worked through it in some way, shape, or form. It may not have turned out the way you wanted, but it didn't kill you. So when you think about false evidence appearing real, it's hard to kind of shut that down just because there's a acronym out there that claims that it's false. But if you really spend time thinking about it, because we'll talk about tomorrow night, words matter. The words you tell yourself are going to help you shift the attitude, the emotion that you're feeling towards something. So if you find those words that work for you, that inspire you, and that even make something emotional logical, like false evidence appearing real, then it just takes you down a little bit. It takes, it kind of turns that frequency down a little bit in regards to that fear frequency. And it doesn't seem as bad. Because again, if we've been on this earth for any decent amount of time, you've overcome tons of situations that put you into that fear factor. And you've gotten through it. And maybe everything's even better as a result of going through that. All right? So I just want you to spend some time thinking about that. Put down what were those things that I was afraid of, and how did I overcome them, or what was that situation that I was able to overcome? But sit with the fact that you've overcome it. Now, what I would also do is make note of what you did to overcome it, because you can use that again. I love things that you can repeat, because you've already been through it. So why throw it away and start over again? So make note of it so you can actually sit in it, understand it, appreciate it for what it is, and then learn from it. All right? So fear, false evidence appearing real, will also help you as you're looking at the fact that you want to be empowered, you want to be confident, you want to be open, you want to be creative, you want to achieve your goals, and therefore you're going to outline and define all those things that you could be doing to overcome any time those emotions and feelings and words and chatter and noise come up that say, maybe you're not worth it, you can't do this, what are you thinking, you're not good enough, you don't have enough money, you're too desperate, you're not smart enough, so forth and so on. All right. Now, we're spending a lot of time, aren't we, talking about the mindset. That's how important it is. And I want you to really make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position and the best mindset to be able to get those goals on paper and put that action plan in place so you can move forward. Now, I did want to provide you a rich tip when it came to fear. I talk all the time about having a journal and a pen with you at all times. I tend to purge. I tend to, write and scribble and not even pay attention to what it is. All the good and the bad, all the fun and the joy and the pain, because you get it out of your head, jumbling around amongst all the other thoughts and feelings and emotions. Put it on paper, it becomes a lot more logical. So a rich tip I want you to do at any time that you're feeling some sense of fear, I want you to journal, write out responses to the following questions, okay? And keep these questions with you. Because again, it's going to lay them out so logically that you're going to be able to, I suspect, work through it. All right, so what is causing the fear? So what's the situation? Say you're losing your job. All right, why am I feeling it? Well, because, and that's why is about what is the circumstance that's creating this fear. Well, if you're losing your job, it could be the fact that there's changes at work, they're selling off a business, they're going out of business, you have a new boss, you have a boss that you don't get along with, whatever the case might be. So that's what's causing the fear of losing your job. What's the worst thing that could happen should you lose your job? So list them out. No money, take a long time to find a job, not be able to pay your bills, risk losing your house, unable to feed the kids, buy my medicine, whatever the case might be, lay it all out. All right? What is the worst thing that could happen if that fear were to come true? Then I want you to list what is the best things that could happen if this fear were to come true. So if you are fearful of losing the job, what's the best thing that could happen by losing your job? Well, you could get a better job with more money. You could move when you always wanted to, but your job kind of held you back. There's a number of benefits, better things that could happen as a result of you losing your job. So make note of all of those as well. Now, the last question to adjust all of that is, what can you do about it? So you have this fear, and the fear is simply a problem if you want to really get logical about it. It's just a problem. So what are all the things that you could be doing in order to solve that problem? Sometimes you don't think that there's solutions. Sometimes you're so in your head about it, and so in the cusp of that fear that you're like, oh God, there's nothing. I don't have anybody. I don't have any people. I don't have any resources. I don't know who to ask. I don't know where to go to look for, a job in this case. There's things that you could be doing. Again, putting that out on a piece of paper in black and white takes the emotion out of it and puts it into a plan that you can then respond to. And that should motivate you to then be able to overcome that, just like you have 9,000 times before, just like you have or are going to deal with as you go and start acknowledging what it is that you want, shedding what it is that you don't want, and pursuing those new goals and the dreams that you have. You're still going to experience fear. You're going to still experience obstacles, but you're also going to experience opportunities and achievements and accomplishments and successes. And what you don't want is to miss them, to miss those good things, to miss those good opportunities and achievements and accomplishments because you're so in your head and you're so weighed down by all the junk, all the negatives, all the fears. So the job that we have together is to give you those tools, tips, and strategies for taking a deep breath and letting them go. Okay, so I had mentioned that tonight we're going to be talking about the 4 A's of change. And it's a good segue from the discussion in regards to fear, false evidence appearing real. So I'm going to touch on them briefly, and I want you to be thinking about them, but then we're going to dive into them this evening. So the 4 A's of change that you're going to be confronted with as you define your goals and pursue them are awareness. Excuse me, I have something in my eye. Our awareness, our attention. You have to pay attention to what's going on. You have to accept what's happening or what's about to happen. And then you have to take action. So the 4 A's of change. Anytime there's something going to be going on in your world, in your life, at your job, at home, in the community, amongst your friends, you want to be thinking about, am I aware? Am I paying attention? Do I accept it? And what actions am I going to take? It's another very simple tool to use in order to work through everything from the challenges we talked about yesterday, the B's and R's we talked about last night, today talking about the false evidence appearing real, and the changes and the goals that you're about to create tomorrow. All right? Okay, now I want to get into why we are here and what we're really going to talk about, and it's a huge element of the overall, what I call a rich plan. It has 2 elements to it. It has your vision to victorious achievement plan to it, and then it has your goal plan. Both of those things that we're discussing today and tomorrow come together to formulate your rich plan. And that's everything that we do here in the Shift to Riches community, is leading you through creating, executing, and achieving that. All right, so what is your vision to victorious achievement, or if you want to shorten it, vision to victory plan? Well, again, it's an acronym. There's studies out there that give them in bullets of 3. Give them acronyms that they can, then use the acronym to recall a major lesson or a deeper lesson, expanded lesson, very simply, so forth and so on. So vision to victorious achievement breaks down to vision. Breaks down to victory. VICTORY. So the first one being vision, V. Now, this is the fun part, because now that you've done a lot of this work or considered a lot of what we're talking about as it relates to you, and especially if you're leveraging those 4 A's of change even at this point, and looking at your B's and R's and looking at the challenges that you feel, false evidence appearing real though, you're feeling around goal setting, it allows you to then really get creative and open regarding the vision. What it is that you want in your world. What it is that you want within yourself and for yourself. You can picture it. This is the time to kind of sit back, close your eyes, and just daydream. And I mentioned yesterday, I love to daydream. As long as those daydreams, those that are appropriate, I then turn into goals. But I also daydream just to kind of occupy my mind without having all that other junk in there. So just sit back and start envisioning what it is that you want in life. Now, you can translate this tangibly into a vision board. As a matter of fact, I just ran around town picking up tons of magazines to have a vision board party with some friends over the next couple of weeks, because a couple of my clients who I'm also social with, they've asked me about it. And I have my 2019 and haven't yet gotten around to my 2020. I have my goals, just haven't visualized it yet onto a vision board. So you can take what it is that you're daydreaming about, and you can find those images, those words, those phrases, and put them onto a vision board. Now, for those of you who are tech savvy and or don't necessarily need to be cutting and pasting, you can also do it online. I did that a few years ago. I just took PowerPoint, found some images, and threw it onto a PowerPoint slide, turned that into an image, and I had it on my desktop as well as I printed it. But this is the time to really just open up and ask yourself, what do you want in your life, let's say by January 1st, 2021? And then what do you want in 5 years? And then what do you want at the time of retirement? What do you want it to look like, feel like, smell like, sound like? You could be envisioning, the beach, retiring on the beach. You want a home. You want a house up in the mountains. You want to be able to spend time in Tuscany. A friend of mine is now doing that, and I'm very jealous. He spends time over there in Tuscany doing a class, a course for 3 months out of the year. But he has now a home or residence there. That would be fabulous. So what do you want? What do you want in your life? So think about what you want in your life, because that could include the fact that there's things you don't want in your life, more so downsizing than anything. Not necessarily talking about shedding just yet, but what do you want in your life? Who do you want in your life? So if it is the fact that maybe, if you're at that point of retirement and your kids live elsewhere, maybe, your vision is to move toward them, to be closer to them, maybe closer to the grandkids, closer to, your friends, whatever the case might be. But who do you want in your life? If you're single, like I am, part of your vision may be, where is he? Or who is he? What does he stand for? Or she? So think about the people, the places, the things that you want in your life, and start visualizing them. But also, I need you to also scribble them down and put them on a piece of paper to get them out of your head into words that then you can use to formulate into your plan. All right. Now, I want you to also be thinking about, as part of your vision, what are those words, those phrases, those quotes that inspire you and motivate you and really excite you and kind of define what your vision might be. And so if you are a visual person, and you're envisioning this vision board, you have all these photos, maybe you have them categorized and themed, and then you have all these words, and phrases, and I have a couple of Bible scriptures, on mine from 2019, whatever, it doesn't matter. And guess what? This is yours. So don't feel, even if you're doing a vision board party and your friends are all there, don't be shy as far as what you're putting on. Don't be insecure. Don't feel like you're boasting, or don't feel like someone's going to ridicule or judge you, because if they do, they shouldn't be there with you. If they do, they're not part of your tribe, so to speak. You need to be able to feel very safe and confident to create whatever vision you want to be creating. And I would have included doing a vision board here as your homework, but that's something that you want to take time to. Now, we talked about this yesterday. You may be the type of person who is not visual, and more so see it more so in a spreadsheet. And I have actually a number of clients. So if you think about the DISC profile, if you're not familiar with it, don't worry about it. But, it talks about various personality types. And, one or two of those types is someone who's more analytical, more steadfast, more compliant. They love spreadsheets. And so when we talk goals at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, they just simply send me their spreadsheet. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter. We're not here to judge anybody. And one way is no better than the other. It's what feels right for you. All right. So that's your V. I've lost my paper. Sorry. That's your V for vision, and have fun with it. I mean, this whole vision to victorious achievement part of the plan is fun, because it really gets you opened up and considering all the wonders that are available to you. And I should have said this earlier, do not delete or do not minimize what it is you want because you feel, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, how am I ever going to do that, so forth and so on. That defeats everything that we're talking about. If your vision for next month, next year, 5 years, or retirement is grandiose, then that's your vision, and own it, going back to owning it. And then we'll work together to put a plan in place for you to achieve it. All right? All right, so victory. We're on to the I. Inspiration. So who, what, where, why are you inspired by? And again, it could be the people, the places, could be experiences, it could be adventures, it could be hobbies. I get inspired by my journaling. I get inspired by listening to, podcasts. I get inspired by reading. I get inspired by going out to the dog park and just watching the dogs love on each other and love on me. Whatever inspires you, get a handle on that as well, because that will feed into not only your vision, but also your goals. It, more importantly, is going to feed into when crap comes up, and it will, then you go back to your victory plan, and you look at it, and you go back to your goals and you look at it. And we're also going to talk about your why spot, and you look at it, and those are all the things that you use to push through and overcome when those peaks and valleys come your way, and they will. Okay, so just keep in mind, you want to really be open and thinking about what inspires you. All right, so the next one's commitment. Now, this is where a lot of my clients are slow to respond to me when we get into this part of my coaching with them is, I want you to make a commitment. I want you to, and I actually, there's a part of my coaching where they actually have to sign a declaration of commitment. And it really just talks to, are you committed to the work that needs to be done? Are you committed to the obligation of your time, of your resources, of your truth? Are you committed to the sacrifices, the compromises, the things that you need to, walk away from? Are you fully committed to your vision and that inspiration that you've already defined? What commitments are you willing to make? Not able to make, not able, but willing to make. You may not have the money, you may not have the time, you may not have the freedom to do something. But so I don't want you to think about what am I able to do? It's what are you willing to do? Are you willing to get up that much earlier in order to do whatever it is that you have to do? Are you willing to invest? Are you willing to change jobs, move the states, move out of the country? Are you willing to walk away from friends that aren't serving you? Are you willing to compromise, with your family, with your friends, whatever the case might be, in order to do X, you're going to need to adjust to do Y. So think through all the things that you're willing to commit to in order to pursue this vision and the goals that you're going to be defining for yourself. All right. T, and we've talked a lot about this already, but T is truth. It takes you to really be truthful to yourself more so than anybody else. Because again, this isn't about anybody else. You need to be true to yourself. And trust me when I say when you are actually able to look in the mirror and point out your B's, point out your R's, go back to the last night's episode session to understand what those are. But if you're, want to truly look in a mirror and see yourself, see who you really are, then you just need to be willing to dig deep, pull out all the junk, pull out all the beautiful things about yourself. I call them beauty marks and warts and B's and R's. But you need to be able to be truthful about what it is that you want, who you are, who you don't want to be, who you want to be, so forth and so on. All right, so truth is huge when it comes to all of this work. Because I can't help you and you can't help yourself if you're not being honest with yourself. That's really the basics of it. If you're not being honest with yourself about kind of, the excuses you might be making, the behavior you might be having, the words you might be using, the interactions, communications, collaborations, lack of teaming, whatever the case might be, if you can't be truthful to that, and if you can't be truthful to all the talents and skills and beauty that you have, that you possess, and you can't be truthful to owning that as well. And oftentimes it's easy for people to identify their negatives, very difficult for them to identify their positives. And yet, without that, you're always going to struggle. If you don't recognize your R's, clue, if you don't recognize your R's and honor them, then your B's or your negatives are always going to slow you down, or if not, totally sabotage you. All right, so you need to look at all of that. O is to overcome. So we've talked about that. All of these things that we've outlined in the VICT so far is going to also provide that confidence, that sense of empowerment, of worthiness, of value, of determination, of energy to overcome whatever, comes your way. So we talked enough about that. So, but just consider that all this work that we're doing between yesterday, today, leading into tomorrow at noon is really creating that baseline of where you are today. And then we're going to create where you want to go so we can fill in the gap. Does that make sense? All right. So then your R's are regrets and rewards. This drives my clients crazy. And I might, I throw in consequences there as well, but I already used the C. But regrets and rewards. You need to kind of say to yourself, what am I going to regret if I don't pursue what I want? What am I going to regret if I just remain comfortable? What am I going to regret if, I let some opportunity pass me by because of that false evidence appearing real? What are those regrets? Now, I've mentioned to you, so I don't want to seem as if I'm contradicting myself. If you work with me outside of this particular program, you know I talk a lot about the fact that I don't have regrets. Even as ugly of a person I was, and the nasty things that I did, and the horrible things that happened to me, and yet all the beautiful things and the successes and the accomplishments, I don't have regrets for anything that has happened to me up until this point in time. I will never say I'll never regret anything, but as of this moment in time, I don't have regrets because I feel that everything that's happened to me has led me to this, has led me to now being able to serve you, and I'm going to cry. So I won't. So think through your regrets. Think through what are you going to miss out on, and will be sorry that you didn't because of because of fear, because of doubt, because of negativity, because of naysayers, especially the external stuff. The people that say, "Oh, you're not good enough. You can't do that. You're not smart enough." Whatever the case might be. Think about your regrets. I want you to also think about your rewards. What are the rewards you're going to get? What are the benefits? And you might even throw in there tangible rewards that you give yourself, for accomplishing and, what it is that you want. Maybe you take yourself on a trip, buy a new wardrobe, whatever the case might be. Think about the rewards that you're going to gain. Maybe it's health. Maybe it is that new job and, that new home, that new city, that new country, that new relationship. Whatever the case might be, what are the rewards you're also going to get from focusing and committing to you and what it is that you want? Now, keep in mind, we always talk about the fact that, on airlines, we kind of don't even hear them anymore when they say, put the mask on yourself first before helping anyone else. That's what we're talking about here. You can't serve, you can't give, you can't love, you can't be for anyone else until you take care of yourself. Now, you might think that you are because you are right now surviving and very comfortable and you have breath. But at the same time, are you really giving them you, all of you, the best you? Think about it. Regrets and rewards, all right? And then lastly, why? Can anybody think about what why is? What would why be? To finish off this victory. It's you. Why is you? You just need to be part of all of this. You need to put yourself into it. You need to acknowledge that this is what you want, or this isn't what you want. But there would be none of this. We wouldn't have to be here. So focus that why. I actually have it capitalized versus on mine versus all the other letters of victory as part of your victory to victorious achievement. But it's you. And I just pray and I'm hopeful and confident that if you're sitting here and you're participating, whether it's live on the watch, you can't do it until the weekend, whatever the case might be. But if you are, then you're concerned about you. You're interested in you. You are committing to you. So let's take it all the way to where you're making those commitments. All right. And part of your homework for this evening is to, in the workbook, there is a template. I won't spend time looking for it, but there's a template for you to define your your vision to victory plan. So just as we talked about through the acronym of victory. So take a look for that. Spend some time. I would even say just 5 minutes. Just the truth sits on the surface. And you can always go back to it and continue to enrich it and enhance it. But work on it and then snap a photo of it and post it onto our homework unit out on the Shift to Riches page. I'm telling you, as you do each one of these assignments, forget about posting it in me. That's not the point. When you're doing it, you're all of a sudden, you're already shifting, you're already changing, you're already growing. And that's the point of all of this. Okay, so if you are all go to create that, then hashtag victorious achievement for me right now in the comments section. Let me know that you're going to do the work, you're going to commit to yourself, by just simply hashtag victorious achievement. Now, let me see. Okay, we talked about your rich plan. I want to make sure. Oh, remember, you want to be here live tomorrow or at the watch party tomorrow night for when we start creating your goals. Because once you do, I'm going to ask you to, again, to take a photo of them and share them onto our Shift to Riches page. And I'm going to select some of them to then provide you coaching on Thursday's noon session. And you won't have an opportunity necessarily to talk to me one-on-one, but at the same time, I'm going to look over your goals and I'm going to give you tips and advice and strategies for enriching them and ensuring that they are, oh, thank you, Patricia, but that they are I just lost track, your goals that will, the actionable goals is what I wanted to say, your actionable goals that will get you where you want to be going. All right. So tomorrow, noon Eastern time, the live watch party at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Be part of those two, and I'll be looking for your homework so I can provide you that coaching on Thursday at noon Eastern time. All right, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I am not. All right, well, I am thrilled that you were here today. I will be posting this. I will also be part of that watch party tonight at 6:30. So for those people who haven't been able to attend, and or you want to sit through it again, or you're part of the global world and the time zone suits you better at 6:30, then I'll look forward to seeing you out there tonight. All right, everybody, have a rich day. Bye.